Someone is moving from the outskirts of the city to the center, while others are moving from their native country to America. Expression of surprise. In this video, I will tell you in detail about the challenges you will face when immigrating to the United States, the types of visas available and how to obtain them, as well as their advantages. And at the end of the video, you will learn how to seek political asylum in America. Enjoy watching. America is a country where dreams come true, a real paradise for all ambitious people worldwide. But is it really so? Let me tell you, if you were born in any other country, starting a comfortable and stress-free life in America will be very difficult. Why? Well, let's take the cost of housing, for example. An apartment or room in a major city, not even in the best neighborhood, can cost over $1,000. And I'm talking about the smallest spaces. If you want something more spacious, be prepared to shell out much larger sums. And if you want to get a credit or debit card for convenient payment of your purchases, I can only sympathize with you. The thing is, to open a bank account and get a bank card, you will definitely need a social security number. And you can't get it without a specific visa. The most popular ones, like tourist and student visas, won't work here. So the only way out is to go to a specialized bank branch that deals with foreigners. Otherwise, the list of required documents will significantly increase. And without this individual number, you won't be able to get a decent job. In general, bureaucratic problems are unavoidable. How do people get out of this situation? Prices are huge, and there are no decent jobs. What to do then? I specifically looked for stories of people who moved to America for you. So, in most of them, shared housing is often mentioned. Houses, apartments, or even rooms, all because of the excessively high prices. So, in a small apartment, 4-6 people can live. And the salary rarely covers the cost of rent and associated expenses. So, think, is America really needed at all? Also, when moving, it is important to consider your knowledge of a foreign language. Although many say that English is easy, in reality, it will be quite difficult to learn it quickly. Just listen to how native speakers talk, and you'll immediately understand whether your level of knowledge is suitable for moving or not. And if you realize that you won't be able to handle a conversation even in a supermarket, there is always a solution: language courses. By the way, this is also an excellent way to get a long-term visa. In America, language schools are widespread, offering decent courses for foreigners. The prices for them are quite reasonable. I found an article in which a girl claimed to have spent about $2,000 on a 3-month course. Quite a reasonable cost considering that attending school allows you to obtain a student visa for a whole year. In addition to simplifying the documentation process, you will have the opportunity to make new, useful acquaintances. Many ambitious people come to America to study English specifically in such schools, as they provide perhaps the best quality education for their money. And what happens in these schools? Actually, nothing scary happens there. I assure you, these are the same schools as everywhere else in the world. Only there, you will be studying only one subject for several hours every day. By the way, many schools easily accept foreigners from any country, so getting there won't be much of a problem. Well, we've covered capital preparation and language learning. Now it's time to choose a visa. If you have received an official job offer in America, you can obtain perhaps the most optimal visa, the H-1B visa. Why do I call it the most optimal? Because if you plan to stay in America for a long time, this document allows you to stay in the country for up to 3 years. And if your employer requires an extension of your visa, you can enjoy an additional 3 years of carefree living. Moreover, you will have a high-paying job and your salary will cover all your needs. However, for this visa, you need to have at least a bachelor's degree and attend a university recognized in the USA. But I believe that if you are a skilled professional, you won't face any problems. You can also more easily obtain a green card with this visa. But the downside is that you will be tied to one company, as the visa is linked to your place of employment. And if 3 years are too short for you, you can try to apply for an L1 visa. This document allows you to stay in the United States for up to 7 years. What do you need to get this wonderful paper? Well, here it gets a bit more complicated. You must already have at least 1 year of work experience in an American company. Also, you must hold a high position at your workplace. I highly recommend getting this visa, as it makes it much easier to obtain a green card. Plus, your close relatives will have the opportunity to work officially in the USA. The downside of this visa is the same as in the previous case. You are tied to one employer. And finally, the most privileged document, excluding green cards and citizenship, the EB-3 visa. Thanks to this document, you can work and permanently reside in the United States. In addition, you have freedom of movement. You can leave the country and return at any time. And your spouse can easily obtain a family reunion visa. By the way, what I like the most is that just a year after working, you can already apply for a green card. In general, I strongly advise you to study all the pros and cons, as well as the nuances of processing these documents. Many foreigners immigrating to the US don't think about how to get a better job to extend their stay. After all, in America, you can get a green card much faster and easier through marriage. I found many reviews and articles about people marrying Americans and quickly obtaining their coveted document. But few people know that this is a quite complex process. Why? I'll tell you now. After you enter into marriage, you will need to collect a series of documents that you will use to apply for a green card. For example, papers confirming the family connection or financial support documents. The list is not small, and preparing all these papers is not a quick process, so it's advisable to think ahead. And after submitting the application, after a few months, you will be invited for an interview with an immigration officer who will decide whether your marriage is genuine or fake. While ordinary love relationships are clear, what is a sham marriage? I found information that services for sham marriages are widespread in America. Many people want to spend money for the coveted document without wasting a lot of time. So they turn to the black market, find a spouse, pay around $30,000, invent a love story, and submit marriage documents. In essence, you have all the bureaucracy needed for a green card. The difference is that you don't need to think about finding a spouse or improving your relationship. However, this method has a huge downside. It's a federal crime in the US, and you can easily end up in prison. Yes, $30,000 is quite a hefty sum. Moreover, if you are caught by immigration services, entry into America will be completely blocked for you. Also, cases where people providing sham marriage services simply cheat their clients are not uncommon. In general, there are many nuances, so I do not recommend relying on this method to obtain documents. Next, I would like to talk about the tourist visa. If obtaining documents based on work or study in the US is relatively simple, things are a bit more complicated for tourists. The refusal rate for tourist visas is quite high. The consul who decides whether to issue you the coveted document must understand whether you intend to immigrate to the country on a tourist visa. And here, significant difficulties arise. Firstly, you need to provide a considerable number of documents. I won't talk about the passport, university papers, marriage certificates, and so on. I would like to focus on the bank account. You will need a bank statement, and a certain amount must be present in the account. And the money there should be enough for you to live in the US for a certain period. So, for relocation, you also need to save up a substantial amount. During the interview, you must be prepared for all the consul's questions about the purpose of your trip, what you plan to do there, and how long you are going for. In general, you must convince them that everything is in order, and you will return back on your own. Most often, such visas are issued for a short period, but even with documents valid for 3 years, you can stay in the US for no more than 6 months without leaving. So, don't think that you can stay in America for as long as you want with these documents. You probably, like me, have wondered why all these complications with documents and how challenging it is to get to America. But you'll be genuinely shocked, because that coveted green card, dreamt of by all immigrants in the USA, can be obtained without any difficulties at all. You just need to have at least a high school education. And it's a real lottery, but at the state level, people commonly call it the green card lottery. But what is it all about? The US government tries to promote tourism from countries with historically low migration levels to America. This list often includes less developed countries. However, there are also real giants of the world economy, such as Russia. In general, all CIS countries are on the list. The US authorities distribute approximately 50,000 green cards each year, so everyone has a chance to get this coveted document. But the key is how easy it is to get into the list of participants. To participate in the lottery, you need to fill out a special form on the website. Actually, it's not complicated at all. True, the entire site is in English, but if you want to go to America, you should already know it. So, what is in this form? It's straightforward. You need to enter your last name and first name. Always in Latin letters indicate gender and date of birth, the city and country where you were born. Then you need to upload a photo. Pay special attention here. Most of the forms are rejected during the verification stage. From the information I found, many people do not participate in the lottery precisely because of photos. The website has fully described examples of errors that are most often made when filling out documents. They also describe the ideal photo that you should submit. So, I advise you to study this issue rather than uploading pictures from parties. Next, you need to provide a postal code, your address, phone number, email address, your level of education, current marital status, and the number of children. And that's it. That's how easy it is to get a green card. The dates for submitting applications are always specified in advance on the website, as well as the dates when the results will be announced. It's essential to note that you can only enter the US with this green card after a year, once the government completes checks and preparations. Finally, I would like to tell you about not the best way to immigrate to America. It's not the best because it's quite sad, and that is political asylum. What is it? It's a special protective status in the US for people who are subjected to systematic persecution due to race, nationality, religion, political opinion, or even belonging to a particular social group. The crucial condition here is that the government of the country where the person is located cannot or does not want to protect them. In general, if you are bullied at school or work because of a bad haircut, you won't be able to go to America. But if you are a political activist persecuted by the police, then you have a chance for asylum. But why is becoming a refugee an excellent option? The thing is, it's a direct way to get a green card and even citizenship. How does the process of obtaining political asylum go? Here it's a bit more complicated. You must be on US territory and contact the relevant authorities. You need to submit a special form of a certain format and provide any documents, certificates, or evidence that will confirm its contents. All case materials must be translated into English. There is another option when you can be granted political asylum while you are not in America, but in your home country. In this case, you'll avoid bureaucratic problems, but the question will be how to reach this coveted protection. As a rule, cases with genuine, non-fabricated data are considered quite quickly. Another significant advantage is that all procedures are entirely free, so you won't spend tens of thousands of dollars on documents. But this method has its drawbacks. If you are definitively denied asylum, you will have to return to your home country, which is not very safe. Also, you won't be able to leave the US after being granted asylum. You'll have to wait a long time for work permits and other essential documents. And society may think that your political asylum case is fabricated. Also, there's a similar system to sham marriages with this method. For a certain fee, someone will forge documents of persecution for you. You may be able to get asylum with this option, but the chances are not very high. Besides, you may end up in prison, so I don't recommend going this way. In this video, I've told you all about immigration to the USA. Thanks for watching.